Hello everyone, Big Seven here, back from my hiatus, here to bring you some more SuperCoach BBL content. Last video was at the conclusion of round 3, where I had a round ranking of 89. The comeback was looking good, back into an overall position of 2,100. Since then, it's been okay. I wouldn't say amazing, but there's been steady improvement. I would like to be a little bit better than I am at this point, but 1256, top 2%. It's not the worst in the world. So round 4, 681, improved to about 1600. Round 5 was a double round with the Renegades and the Sixes. Made a few poor choices there, namely bringing in Nick Maddinson, and although scoring 5,000 for the round, went down in rank. And then this round was really interesting because a lot of the really good players scored poorly. And so with the good teams having more of these really good players, this was a week where a lot of these teams will have got pegged back a bit. If you got a captaincy this week that scored over 50 points, then you did really well. I only scored 679, but that was good enough to bring me up to 1256 overall. So I'll show you the team as it stands right now. No trades have been made this week. So last week, I keep playing Philippi over Jilks, and Jilks keeps outscoring him. I'm still going to keep playing Philippi most likely. In the batters, Hayden Kerr been rock solid. Sydney with the Sixers with the double soon. So not moving him on, not moving Philippi on, or any of my Sixers players. And that's the same really with the Scorchers players I have in my side. And then the Stars, Strikers, and Hurricanes players. If they're going to be around and if they're going to play the double, then I'm not going to move them on. Josh Inglis been absolutely fantastic. I think he was in my opening team reveal video. He was the player that I think I said was the second biggest locker this year, and he's just gone amazingly. I think he was about 84k to start the year, so he's made almost 100k. Happy to play him every week. Shadab Khan, disappointing last week. I think he hurt his finger. Batted lower down the order than he has been. Wasn't as effective with his bowling. What is the break even at now? Break even's at 53, so you would expect him to get that next game, although I will get towards that a bit later. Joe Clark was someone I brought in. I brought in Maddinson last week and immediately switched him over to Joe Clark. I saw Maddinson got injured, some kind of knee injury, so I'm hoping all the best for him. Joe Clark, I just thought was a little bit of a pod. I think people were going to be going for more established names and more expensive names. Unfortunately, I've missed a lot of the cash gen this year. Akil Hussain at 100k didn't get him. Jai Richardson cheap didn't get him. Never had Matt Short. So I'm behind the top teams in terms of cash generation. So I need to go. I just can't afford the same players that the top teams can at this stage, but still fielding a fairly solid team, I think. And then my other player is Ashton Agar at the moment. I was going to cut him last round, but I ended up loopholing Stoinis, who scored 110, and so that just made it convenient for me to keep Agar, and I traded Maddinson instead of Agar as my third trade. So happy with the way that turned out. And then James Vince, just chilling on the bench, 66. Hopefully he can bring a similar level of scoring to his double. And then onto the bowlers, Jai Richardson, I brought in this week. I just thought he was a must-have the way he's been playing, and 28, I think, is his lowest score of the year. I captained him surprisingly better than a lot of other captains. I saw some people with Sams, and Matt Short was the most common captain this week amongst the top coaches, so really not too many points lost there. I think a few people went for Abbott and Kerr as well, but only a small percentage of that. So if you went for Kerr, you've done pretty well. Andrew Ty holding him through to the next double, and he's been good the last couple of weeks. I think at the conclusion of round 3, I was saying that it looked like Berendorf and Richardson were the clear 2, and then Agar and Ty falling behind. But Ty's kind of caught up a bit, so happy with him, and he's gone up in price as well. So that'll make it hard for people to get in that don't already have him. Sean Abbott, oh man, it's just been a bit of it's been a disappointment with him, to be frank. He played well in the first game of the double last week, and I had him captain over Akil Hussain, who was the more popular captain choice. And so Abbott was looking like a good captain, and then he got rested in the second game, so that was really unfortunate. Just some bad luck, but it's BBL at the end of the day. Player scores are so volatile, and it is what it is. I'm not too hung up in players scoring poorly or getting rested because it's just a part of the game. You can't plan for it, and I guess it gives us a reason to take it a bit more serious, a bit less seriously compared to other formats because there's a lot less that you can control, and yeah, in that way it makes it a bit better because you know that bad things are going to happen to you at some point. Whereas I don't know, I feel like with AFL and NRL, bad things do happen to you nearly as much as often, but it just feels worse when those things do happen. And then Majib, I brought him in for his double, scored well in that, but was poor this week, only the 9 points. He'll be a trade-out target for me with no doubles left in for the Renegades. Cooper Connolly had him the whole season as my loophole. I'm thinking about if I can afford to get rid of him to someone else with a double and then have use a full squad of 16 players. I'm kind of tossing that up or just going with the 15 and using him as a loop. The loop has definitely been handy, and with him being dual position as well, that being able to swap in between batting and bowling has been great for me. Nathan Ellis, I brought him in the last round. That was a really astute buy-in. He was about 95k, still pretty cheap, under 110k, and started the year at about 180. So if you're getting him in now, you're getting him at unders what he started the season at. 105, the break-even will be low, should be negative 23. So he should be a good get. And then Hatzoglu, kind of just holding him through the year, I think, or until the next Scorchers double at least. He's only 88k. He's an extra number for a double. I'm probably not going to field him until a double, but I think he's going to get more opportunities as well now that Ashton Agar has been called up to the test squad, at least for the next few weeks. So I don't mind having Hatzoglu there. And so going into the next couple of weeks, there's a couple of things that are priorities. Well, at least priorities in my opinion. I want to get as many doubles as I can for round 8 and round 9. Round 8 doubles being the Sixers and the Hurricanes, and round 9 being the Scorchers, Stars, and the Strikers. But I guess the thing that complicates things a little bit this week is that a couple of games are under weather clouds. The Hurricanes and the Strikers, there's potentially going to be thunderstorms, so need to monitor that one fairly closely because those are two teams I would like to get in if possible, particularly the Hurricanes with the double next week. But if those players aren't going to play or aren't going to score much this week, then if they don't play, then they won't drop in price and they just won't score, and it's kind of a waste getting them in this week. And if they do play and part of the game gets washed out, then their ceiling is pretty much gone. So I would like to get Hurricanes players. I'm going to be monitoring that game very closely just to see, basically to see if the first ball is bowled on time. And then the other game under the weather cloud is the Sixers and the Heat. I think there's about 50% chance of rain in that one. So with the Sixers also having the double next week, might need to think a little bit outside the box and bring in Stars and Scorchers players. In terms of my team, I've already got Joe Clark and Stoinis. I'm not really too sure how many other Stars players I want to get. I need to look up Trent Bolt's availability. If he's going to be playing the whole tournament, then I'm going to put him in my bowling line. And in terms of scorches, I've got most of the main men. I've got Inglis, I've got Richardson, I've got Ty. I do like Behrendorff, but I just wonder if that's a little bit much, considering I've already got the two frontline bowlers and had Soglu as a third bowler. And then from the batting lineup, it's really hard because Faf du Plessis goes in a couple of games, I think. I don't think he's here for the double. With, I think his name is the Palm guy from England. Don't want him at all. He hasn't looked up to the standard which you'd expect him to, being a international, but hasn't lived up to it. Turner, maybe. He just bats too low, I think, and I'm not sure about Hardy either. Is Hardy going to bat at 3? Is he going to bat at 6? Is he going to bowl? Is he not going to bowl? There's just too many question marks around Hardy for me to lock him in this far out. So I guess I'm really hoping that the Hurricanes game goes ahead and isn't impacted, because I do want some Hobart players on my side. Shadab Khan, he is playing this week if the game goes ahead, but he is leaving after this week. So he will be a trade, but probably next week. So I'm thinking Agar, probably I want to get rid of. Majib can go. I guess I'm not really too sure about the third one. Jilks can go at some point. He has a break-even of 12. So I guess it would be a pretty aggressive move to get rid of Jilks. And if I do that, I guess it means that I'm either getting in a keeper who's not going to contribute to a double, or I'm going to be benching one of Philippi, Inglis, or Clark. I guess the way Philippi's gone, if he does play at North Sydney, then I'm going to want to field him, because North Sydney is a really small ground, could see scores similar to what we saw in Albury this week for the Thunder and Hurricanes game. So I guess I'm going to see what I can do with these two first and then decide on my third trade. So who are the players I want to get in? So I think I mentioned him before. I think I want to get Trent Bolt. 125k, hasn't been the greatest, but still has a good role. He's a class bowler. He should bounce back at some point, and the Renegades batting lineup hasn't been the greatest either. And it loses Nick Maddinson, so losing a bit of meat there. And if I do that, I'm not really interested in Wood or Webster anyway. Wood has a decent role, but I don't think he's a good player. Tom Rogers opening the batting, 70k. Could be a punt, but he is a club cricketer, so not sure about him. And Bo Webster, I think his appeal diminishes greatly with Stoinis back to full fitness. So Perth batsman, Ashton Turner, and yeah, it's just not sure about his role, and same with Hardy as well. Bancroft did look alright in his game. I'm just not sure if he can back that up. So I guess what I'm getting at is that I want Hobart players most likely. So Jimmy Neesham's gone back, and so Ashraf is playing. I would really like to take a punt on McDermott if he is playing. It is a big risk because he's missed a few games with a hamstring issue, but he is named in the squad. But still, he is someone that can absolutely pop off, but I don't know, there's probably just a few too many question marks in regards to his form before injury. then his injury, and then just whether this game will go ahead. I would like to get Wade, but I can't afford him. I guess I could get rid of Shadab kind of week early, but I guess the Bonstone Arena as well. Only been one game played there, but I think the Hurricanes only scored 122 and successfully defended that. So it's probably a bowler if I want to get a Hurricanes player. And so I could do something. I can't afford Meredith, but I do think he's a good player to get in. So if I was doing that, I guess I'd need to find money for a third trade. So maybe it would just be Jilks out. And then that's only 121k though. Who else is on double? So we've got Sixers and Adelaide again under clouds. I'm not sure how long Adam Hose is here, but he has been playing okay, and I think he's here all tournament. So him or Lynn could be a punt, but again, they're playing at Bonstone this game, so they could drop in price. I guess kind of looking forward to that double. I want to get Travis Head in, but I can't afford him in this team anyway, and kind of seems useless getting him in now. And so I guess the Stars, Hobart. I don't know. Maybe I would take a punt on a Tom Rogers or a Darcy Short. I mean, Darcy Short has been underwhelming. He's not going to bowl. When he has been batting, he's been batting pretty slowly. I don't know. I think maybe Bancroft would be the best of these options. But yeah, still a lot to play out with these trades, I guess. Not looking at anything tonight. I'm going to be monitoring the Hobart weather pretty closely. I guess at this stage, this is how I'm thinking I'll line up. So then... So if I do that, probably wouldn't... Man, that's really awkward as well. Because I think... Because if I'm... Who am I vice-captaining? It feels like I'm chasing points to go Stein as vice-captain, but he did play well last innings. So I could go for him. Potentially loophole Shadab with Vince, just because I'm not sure how much of that game will go ahead. Also not sure how much of the Sixers game will go ahead. I don't know. It's hard to really settle on trades at the moment. I guess the two things I'm looking to do, maximize doubles and make sure I'm not going to be fielding any donuts for this week. So I guess my advice would be to keep an eye on the weather forecast for the Hobart game and the Sydney Sixers game, and then kind of plenty of trades around that. I think I will try and record a video at the end of this round just to show what I've done and my plans for the 2 weeks after that. But it is still all up in the air just because of the weather contingencies for this round. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, taken something from it. If you have, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you for the next one, whenever it is.